Hey there guys, in this video I'm going to be showing off my Baza build for the Baza, obviously, because you know it's Baza build. And I'm just going to start with this saying, if you're like an older player, you're around master rank 15 or higher, this build is not made for you. This build is made for newer players that might not have that many mods, and they're like around master rank 10. They've recently got the Baza, they don't know what to do a build for it or how to build it, so put like a mod build for it. So this build's made for them. If you're master rank 15 and or higher, you're older player, you have like better mods than the ones I have. I would just go if I was you. So yeah. And if you're a new player, and you want to know like how to build a Baza for a mod build for the Baza, here's one right here. Okay, so we're going to start this off by looking at the stats of this weapon up with this build. So yeah, as you can see, the accuracy extremely good, probably one of the best accuracies in most auto rifles. Other auto rifles like the Dara Vandal also have around the same accuracy. The only problem is that for the Dara Vandal or the Dara, the bullet velocity sucks in the weapon, so you have to like mod up. You have to probably get mods for that and make it better. But again, like it's still pretty bad combo. You have to use a mod slot for that. Use up a mod slot for just to make the bullet velocity faster. While the Baza doesn't have that problem, so you'll have one extra mod slot, and you'll be hitting every single bullet onto the head, and it's just really good. And with now because it has amazing accuracy, the best way to mod this is to get the crit chance, because increasing the crit chance to 65 and 4.5, like not even because it's because you'll be getting that headshot consistently. Having a really good crit chance is really good, because that means you're going to be doing unbelievable amounts of damage onto an enemy when you're getting headshots continuously, and it's just great. It's just amazing. You're just going to be melting through most enemies, and it's just unbelievable. And as the base Baza without any mods still has pretty high crit chance and crit multipliers, so it's just really good to mod that. That's how most people I've seen mod the Baza. That's how I've mod the Baza. That's how I personally do it. And yeah, so it's really good to mod for the crit chance. If you want to make your own build, that's what you should do. You could, if it's it's pretty much just mod for the crit chance. That's what you really do. Now that's probably the best that's probably a pro of the Baza. Now a con of the Baza, which I've heard people say, which in my opinion I don't really think it's that much of a con, is the fall off. Now I'm pretty sure this is a new thing that's added with the Baza. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if any of the weapons use it, but yeah, I just think it's a new thing. I'm pretty sure that's why it's considered its own SMG, its own new type of weapon. But I don't know. The fall off. People are saying that's the con with this weapon, is the problem with it is the fall off. That's why I've had people say, oh, I don't really want to use it because of the fall off. The fall off really doesn't matter unless you're like playing in the plains of Eidolon or that kind of stuff. Then it's completely fair. That argument is extremely valid, as the plains of Eidolon are extremely open. Like you want to have a long range weapon, but that's the only place where it's valid. In most other places, you could easily just run up to an enemy and get into close range if they're extremely far away. It doesn't really matter, or you could just wait them to get to you. So like it isn't really that much of a con, as most enemies you'll be shooting at in closer ranges, so it doesn't really matter anyway. So I don't know, people say that, but I don't really care. The fall off is fine in my opinion. And yeah. Now another thing which I've also heard, not as many people say, is the mag size is 40. It's terrible. Why would you want to have mag size of 40? Well, for this weapon, it doesn't really matter, because every single bullet's going to hit. It's, as I said, the accuracy is really high, so you'll be hitting every single bullet on the head of the enemy, and you're going to basically kill them a lot quicker, so the mag size doesn't really matter. And also the reload speed, so these two kind of go together. The reload speed is also extremely high, so you're going to be reload faster. Now, with this build, it's extremely faster. It's still, for the base weapon, extremely fast, so it's still, like, unbelievably fast for like, a weapon of its kind with with the 40 magazine. So I just kind of like to increase the reload speed so it's unbelievably fast, so you just reload extremely fast and just continue firing. So again, that's why I have faster hands on. And yeah, so that's good mod. That's a good mod to have on. Probably most of the time it's the first mod I put on when I level up my Baza. So yeah. And now the next stat I have, we'll talk about these together, is the status. The status and like elements and secondary elements. Now these three mods here make the corrosive. They aren't that important. You can easily take them out. Probably increase the mag size if you so want to. You can do that if you want. I like having corrosive on. I like having the increased status. And also another reason is because I also have hammer shot, as well as you know putting adding to critical damage. It also adds status chance. So I just thought, well, I don't really want to waste the increased status chance just for nothing. So I'm going to put on secondary elements, corrosive on. So that's my personal reason why. You don't have to. You could easily just put on like mag warp or any mag increasing mod if you wanted, if you so want to. But I prefer having corrosive on. And as you can see, I've increased it to 20%, which is pretty high. Now again, people would probably think that if you just look at it normally, that seems pretty bad. But for this weapon, it's really good. As I said, every single bullet's gonna hit. Every single bullet's gonna hit. You're gonna be firing extremely fast, and you're going to be hitting. The status chance, even though it's 20%, is still pretty high because while I've been using this weapon, nearly every single enemy that I shoot that survives longer than a second with this weapon, pretty much instantly gets corrosive a corrosive proc on them. So again, that doesn't really matter. So it being this like 20% status is pretty good. It's like I don't think you really need to go any higher. If you're making a status, if you want to make a spy build where you're going into missions and not you're not going to be aiming at the head continuously, constantly, all the time, and most of the time with like a spy build or like a what do you say, like a sneaky build. I don't know. I forgot the word. It's come off my head. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't say it. If you want to make a sneaky build with this weapon, most of the time when you're firing, you won't be hitting the head. You'll be killing them from the back. So if you want to build for that, you won't be having point to strike or any of these kind of things, or increasing for critical chance. And you'll probably be going, if you want to increase damage, you'll probably be going into your status and elemental damages. So you could probably increase it if you're doing that, but again, 20% perfectly fine for me. It does what it does. For this build, it's perfectly fine to have 20% on, because the main meat of this build is the critical chance, the critical multiplier. So status not really that important, and gross not important, but just an add-on to make kill the enemies quicker. So yeah. And yeah, so let's actually have a look at the mods that I actually have on this build. So I talked about fast hands before, don't really need to talk about it now. And now we're gonna have these three mods here. As I said before, they're the meat of the build, they're the most important. They're the ones that increase the critical chance. Very important part of this actual build, the Baza build. So yeah, so as you can see, I've got point strike on to increase that critical chance to not 65% yet, but still pretty high, with with the plus 65 damage rounding it off. And also, as I said, this the add-on of adding status, very nice as well. I would still use this mod even if it didn't have status. I'm mainly here for the critical damage. So yeah, actually no, that actually adds to the critical multiplier. Actually, I apologize, I keep getting that wrong. So actually, this the point strike gets it down to a nice juicy 65% critical chance. And yeah, so this gets it to this mod right here gets it to a nice 4.5 times critical multiplier. Very nice, very good. So yeah, that's why I like having this mod. This mod's also pretty good. And the most important mod of this build, Argon Scope. Now, if you don't have Argon Scope, the only way you could have gotten it was from the only way you could have gotten it now. No, actually no. Let me repeat that. The only way you can get it now is through trade chat. And I apologize. I think they're selling Argon Scope for like a pretty hefty price, around the hundreds of plats, 100 of plats. So around, I think it's like 300 to 400 plat. I've seen people sell Argon Scope for. So if you didn't get it when where the Acolyte event came out, which is the only way you can get it without trading, I'm sorry, you'll have to trade it or try and get it from like a friend or something that has like an extra, and he'll do like a deal for you. But that's the only way you can get it now, or you can just wait for the next Acolyte event. I don't know what that's going to be, but it's going to be sometime. So it'll be sometime until the next Acolyte event. So I would try and get the Argon Scope as quickly as you can, because it is probably one of the best mods you can use. Really good for you'll see it in pretty much every single every single build, primary build, you're gonna see it all the time. So I recommend getting it as soon as you can. So yeah, now these mods here, they're the meat. And also kind of the fast hands. These are the meat of the build. They're the most important mods. See, these mods I wouldn't switch out. These mods I would. Like, if I had to switch them out, I would switch them out pretty quickly. So yeah, so these are the meats of the build. And as you can see, as I said, these are the these three right here. They create corrosive and increase the status to a little more, and with a high voltage. Now, as I said before, we can switch them out. They're not that important. You can probably put in like a mag increasing mod. It doesn't really matter. You can do it if you want. But if you want to make, like as I said before, a spy build, or like a build like a sneaky build, these are very important. You could also probably put in what's another one you can probably put in. If you want to make like a spy build, you can probably put in a blast, which will also increase the mag size, and you've got rim rounds as well. If you have rim rounds, you could also increase the status. You could put in mag warp if you so wanted to. If you have basically the infested version of this, that increases status, and also infested clip, basically what is it called, toxic damage. You could also put that in if you want to. No, mag warp, and that would probably switch out all three of these, and that would probably be good enough for most builds, for most spy missions. Because as I said before, for most spy missions or missions where you're trying to be sneaky, you won't be most of the time you'll be killing them or shooting at them from the back. You won't be shooting them most of the time at the front unless you're using Loki. But again, that's a very inefficient way of using Loki. It's better to use Loki. Not like saying if you walk up to an enemy and they're walking away from you, you don't want to run around them and shoot them in the head. You want to shoot them in the back. That's why. So if you take these away if you want to make a spy build, that kind of stuff, or like Loki or something, and just keep these. But for this specific build now, they're not that important. I just kind of like them to add them on. You can probably increase, you can probably have like a magazine mods or anything if you wanted it. Yeah, so not that important. I like it. Increases the damage. It'll make it so that you do more damage to Grenier, because that's a corrosive of it. That's its pros on enemies. It does more damage to Grenier, so it's just a good mod. I quite like it. A good second element in there. And now we have Centeration. Again, don't need to talk about that. It's Centeration. Good mod to have on every single build you're gonna have with every single weapon. So I just don't really talk about it. So yeah. Now, before I end the video, I just gotta say, Warframes you should use Baza on. This specific build of Baza would be any Warframe that can stop enemies in their spot, like Equinox, Frost, Vauban. Specifically, Frost is a pretty good one, and same with Equinox, because they can stop them and just make them stand still, and then you can just get headshots. Now, the reason for that is because saying if a Bombard walks up to you, runs up to you, he's coming straight towards you, you can just literally be in your night form. Saying if you're Equinox, you go into your night form, you just use the second ability on them, and then they stopped, they completely stopped, and then you shoot them head, they just die straight away. So the Baza works really well with with Warframes like that. I think my opinion, Baza works really well with Frost, because most of the time enemies are gonna be running pretty close to your, because if you put your bubble down, they can run towards it, and the fall off doesn't really matter. So I don't know, it's just really good. And also with his first ability, freezing people, it's probably the most effective one, because it freezes down a spot and doesn't make that their head falls down. So the Baza works really well with Frost, and yeah. But the Baza will work with this Baza build will work specifically. But it will specifically not work with Loki if you're using it as like a sneaky build, that kind of way, or a spy build. But most Warframes he's pretty good with. So there's no real most Warframes he works really well with Warframes that can stop enemies in their tracks, and yeah, that's it. So that's pretty much it for this video, and I'm just gonna end it here now. Okay, see ya.
This ship's reactor. The reactor is a complex system. Start by removing the coolant cells. My intel suggests there are rich enemy supply caches in the area, but I am unable to pinpoint their exact location. Search them out if you are willing to shoulder the added risk. coolant cell extracted. The reactor is going into stasis. Now is your chance to complete this sabotage. Use whatever you can to make sure it never works again. A coolant cell has been extracted. Fuel cell reinserted. When the reactor is restarted, this will trigger a meltdown. Destroy the fuel injectors. A blast door has blocked your evacuation route. Find a way to open it. Your sabotage is complete. Get to extraction.
I'm weak.